This is history class. I hope that I meet all of you well this morning. So as we go through this lesson this morning, I would like you to pay special attention. If you have any question, remember to forward the questions to the platform, and the answers will come your way as soon as possible. Today is Monday, June 8th, 2020. Monday, June 8th, 2020. Welcome to class one more time. Now, interesting topic in history class: traditional occupation of the people in the state, part 2. Traditional occupation of the people in the state. When we state, you're talking of the state in Nigeria. If you can recollect, we examined some occupations of some states in Nigeria last week, and this topic is the topic we've been treating in the past couple of weeks. So it's a continuation this week, and it's still going to last for another couple of weeks as well. Now, but before or at the end of this lesson, you should be able to uh, do all the following. Before or at the end of this lesson, of one, you should be able to mention at least four traditional occupations found in states in Nigeria. Be able to mention four traditional occupations found in states of Nigeria. That's one. Then the second objective that this lesson is aimed at achieving is to, should be able to describe four traditional occupations found in the state. You mention four occupations found in the state of Nigeria, then you are also able to describe four traditional occupations also found in the state of the country. The description of the various occupations. Description of the various occupations around the states of the country. We start off with fishing. Fishing. Just as you know, fishing is a common occupation engaged in by the Nigerian peoples who lived along the coast, lagoon, delta, and the big rivers. These peoples include the Awori in Lagos, the Ijaw and the Ishekiri in Delta and Bayelsa states, the Ilaje in Ondo State, the TV and the Idoma in Benue State, the Nokwe and the Niger State, and so on. All right. Now, just as you know that fishing can only be practiced by people whose places of abode are very close to the rivers or lagoon, seas, or wherever. And by the way, I use the word peoples. Okay, here, this might be in sharp contrast with what you have learned so far, but we can use peoples actually when referring to different tribes and tongues. Okay, so we can actually have peoples. Just we can say we have peoples in Nigeria because we're talking of different ethnicity in the country. So we might use the word peoples to refer to them. Okay, so we'll move on now. The most important tool used by fishermen are traps of different types, nets, paddle, and dugouts. You know, these are various implements by which the fishermen use to carry out their fishing activities. By the way, we mentioned fishermen. Women also fish in Nigeria. Some major women also fish, just as the men folk also do. Now, the fishermen construct small dams in such a way that when body of water gets dire, the dam would be isolated and the fish in it will be trapped. Then the owner of the pond engages with containers such as buckets, throw out the water, and pick up the fish. So these are some of the methods that the fishermen employ in carrying out their fishing business. Remember, we're talking about description of various occupations around the state of the country, Nigeria. I've just mentioned one of them now, which is fishing. So the picture here shows some fishermen, okay, trying to bring out their catches, what they have caught, the fishes they have caught, bringing out, trying to bring out from the local boat, as you can see from the picture clear here. Let's look at another occupations in the country from our next slide now. Occupation, and that is crop farming. Crop farming. Now, just as we know there's no farmer, no food, no food, no life, farming is the main traditional occupation of the Nigerian people. Every tribe in the country, you know, practices farming. Okay, some farmers, okay, they grow mostly food crops, while some are engaged in other types of farming. But let's look at what we have in note here. Uh, Farming is the main traditional occupation of the Nigerian people who lived in the forest region. These people include the Yoruba, the Bini, the Irobo, and the Ibira. These people engage in production of both food and tree crops. The main food crops being cultivated by these people include maize, cassava, vegetables, rice, yam, and okra. The main trade crops include rubber, palm oil, and coconut. The farm implements used for the cultivation of these crops in the traditional system include cutlass, hoes, and axes. The methods of farming operations are land clearing, bush farming, sowing, planting, weeding, and harvesting. From this note here, we've been able to see that among the Yoruba people, the Bini and part of Yoruba, as well as Ibira people, they practice crop farming. And crop farming here, they engage in both food crop production and the cash crop production. The cash crop production include those three crops like those that plant rubber, palm oil, coconut, and so on and so forth. But in food crops, food crops are just those crops that are planted mainly, okay, for farmer to feed himself, his family, and perhaps if he has more to sell, can sell out to people. Okay, so some of those crops include food crops include uh, maize, cassava, vegetable, rice, yam, okra, and so on and so forth. Okay, so all these are well practiced by some tribes which we have mentioned earlier in the country. So you can see the image here is that of maize plantation. You can see for some of you who have never seen maize plant before, this is maize plant, just as you can see. All right, let's see another um, excuse me, let's see another occupation around the country from our next slide. Animal husbandry is also a common occupation of Nigerian people. Animal husbandry. Now, animal husbandry involves rearing of animals. That's just a simple definition of animal husbandry. Simply means rearing of animals. Now, basically, in Nigeria, there are two ways of rearing animals. You might decide to rear your animal by allowing them to be moving about. You must still be moving along with these animals. This is what we call nomadism. Nomadism is a system of animal rearing whereby the owner of the animals are usually cattle. So the owner of the animals go out with them in search of food, water, and wherever. All right. Now, there are two main types of animal husbandry. The first one, domestication of animals and nomadic cattle rearing. So I just mentioned two types of, or two ways by which animals can be reared now. By domesticating those animals. You domesticate animals when you allow them to live at home with you. And you practice nomadic animal rearing when you don't allow the animals to stay at a spot, but you move around with them. You might move them from all the way from the north of the country, the south of the country, and from the south again, okay, back to the north. Okay, and when you're moving them this way, the reason for doing that is just for you to look for uh, food for them and water. Look for food and water for them. Okay, now the Yoruba, the Efik, the TV engage in domestication of animals, while the Fulanis practice nomadic cattle rearing. We just mentioned two different types of two categories of tribes here now. Mentioned the Yoruba and the other ones that rear their own animals by allowing them to stay with them at home or by building a shed for them around their compound, while the Fulanis don't allow the animals to stay around their homes. Rather, they allow them to move from one place to the other. So don't know, some of those people you see, okay, maybe on your way to your village with a herd of cattle, they are mostly the Fulanis coming all the way from the north of the country together with their cattle looking for grass or pasture and water for them. Now, the main livestock being kept include goats, sheep, hens, rabbits, and pigeon. So this is a picture of uh, a man that has animals. The animals here are sheep, and is trying to feed them. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Common among the people of Nigeria, this is leatherworks. Leatherworks. Leather works. Okay, leather works very important. Many of you carry school bags. We wear shoes made of leather. We wear beautiful belts. Okay, made of leather as well. Okay, now leatherwork is making of leather into sandals, bags, shoes, belts, and so on. The traditional occupation is mostly engaged in by Hausa people. The practice of the occupation is made possible due to the presence of cattle. We just mentioned earlier that mostly we have a large number of animals, especially livestock in the north. And because of this, these are for the houses and the Fulanis who are largely inhabitants of the north of Nigeria, could practice this particular occupation. So see a man here, he's a leather worker. He's trying to, make leathers, and these are the product of leather. So you can see bags and all that here. Okay, I hope you're following me. All right, let's move on. Important local occupation here, and that is pottery. Pottery. Pottery is a traditional occupation mostly engaged in by women. So women are the major practitioner of pottery in Nigeria, and this occupation exists in the area where there is abundance of clay. Okay, so the raw material for our pottery industry is clay. This occupation is mostly practiced by the Yorubas, okay, and the potter makes great varieties of useful utensils such as cooking pots, water pots, and dishes. The materials where the potter uses in the production of this object are clay, water, and firewood. All right. I think this is very, very comprehensive enough. This is a potter, and you are going to tell me back in the class uh, the Naira note, Nigerian Naira note that has this two-man as uh, the image, the Naira note that carries the image of this woman. We're going to give out the class, and you're going to tell me that.